And we're back to talk spoilers for Central Intelligence, and really there's not a lot to it. I mean, there's the high school reunion subplot. They showed the whole scene of him singing in the showers and being thrown onto the gym floor in the trailer, and then him growing up to be The Rock.
Right.
And all of that kind of stuff. There were little surprises that I thought were fun that I liked. I liked that Jason Bateman was the bully that grown up. Like, that's who he grew up to be, was Jason Bateman.
And Jason Bateman's scene was my one laugh out loud moment. I actually lost it when he pretended to be a Christian only to reveal he's an asshole still.
Yeah. That was great. And that's the kind of stuff too that, like, and I've said this about Kevin Hart before, but like, Kevin Hart should be like the third or fourth lead of a movie, or a piece of a movie. Like, this movie wouldn't work if you followed Jason Bateman around the whole time.
Right.
But because he has one scene and it's really funny, it really works. I thought that was really cool. I wish they had cast some of the other parts a little bit more fun. Like, the CIA agents were all just sort of boring, like, actor person.
They did get Aaron Paul. I mean, that
was cool. And the only thing they did with him that was remotely, like, jokey, like, hey, we got Aaron Paul, was they got him to say bitch once.
They got him to say bitch once. One time.
But
I think I would have went overboard with that and just said, just say it constantly. Every line. End it with bitch. just to rub that in.
Or if he hadn't said it, if that would have been like his code name or something. It's my partner, code name bitch.
Right.
Yeah, and I
think they could probably only do it so many times because of PG-13 in the first place.
Well, and I was talking about how, like, I think the last Kevin Hart movie that I really liked, where he was a lead character, was Get Hard with Will Ferrell. And that really worked because, like, Will Ferrell's a good, he can be a really, really strong straight man.
Right.
Like, he's really good at that. Dwayne Johnson is, like, he can be funny as a straight man, but he's so much better as the funny person in the movie.
Yeah, what was he, the straight man? Because he was just kind of like, he was just being a weirdo the entire time.
Right. Which, like, that doesn't, they basically, like, cast against type.
Right.
You know, or wrote the character against type. Like, he's this giant muscle-bound guy, but he's stuck in the 90s, and
he's always the fat kid. Just was the running thing.
He was wearing his, fanny pack and jorts and
into unicorns.
And that stuff started off, like, fairly good and funny, and then it just tapered off because as soon as it goes into action mode,
where do you go with that?
He's an unstoppable action character in this movie. So then it's all on Kevin Hart to be the funny side of it, and we've already established that Dwayne Johnson just doesn't really care what he says, that he's just going to do whatever he wants to do. So it's a lot of just Kevin Hart screaming. And, like, Kevin Hart screaming...
A lot of Kevin Hart screaming, yes.
Well, I mean, that's his thing. That's what he does in movies.
So, I mean, there's certain... the plot was interesting enough to actually follow, I think. I mean, it's who's the reliable character or not. There's a lot more, like I said, there's a lot more plot than I expected there to be. I expected it to be really straightforward. I didn't expect it to be...
Yeah, it has...
I expected it to be Kevin Hart and The Rock against the world.
There's an espionage plot and double crosses, and you don't know if they don't make it clear that Dwayne Johnson is actually a good guy. Like, he lies a couple of times, he does things that gets Kevin Hart into trouble, so...
and I guess the only reason I kind of liked that is because it's one of the few things that was unpredictable about the movie. Because I was like, well, maybe they'll just go the direction of Bob Stone is actually just a crazy person.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they'll just go down that route, which would have been actually kind of more interesting in the long run. But
yeah, it's interesting.
But most of the comedy you see coming, so it's not. That's one of the biggest problems with that kind of thing is it is entirely predictable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And yeah, a lot of it falls into the trap that a lot of these modern comedies do, where it feels predictable and it also feels like, you know, there wasn't a group of writers that came up with a really funny joke to put into this scene. Mm-hmm. It feels like they had a serious scene, they might have had a couple of ideas for jokes, and then they just let the let the guys go on the day.
And any cameos work pretty well, because I mean the Kumail scene, Kumail kills anything he's in, so that was pretty good. But
yeah, he might have got the biggest laugh for me in the movie when he's like, "I am made of questions right now."
Was it who else was there? Certainly
Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah, okay. Yes, at the end, right? Her. She didn't really have a joke to her except that she's cross-eyed.
Yeah. They just kind of stunt cast her as his love interest from high school. And she was funnier in the outtakes than in the movie.
Mm-hmm. Chuck didn't have more outtakes. I would have just run that entire.
Oh, I'm sure they did. Like they just didn't show any more than that.
Get the unrated version with 50 million outtakes, and
it's also one of those things though. Like you could see where the outtakes would get old because it's it's going to be the same thing over and over again.
Right.
You know, it's either them making each other laugh or it's the throwing a million ideas at the wall until something sticks.
Yeah, I think that's probably the gist of how the comedy works.
A lot of comedies work that way. Like there's that. If you look, there's that clip that they released not too long ago of T.J. Miller insulting the guy that played Ned Ryerson when they do in Silicon Valley. He's supposed to like make a joke about how old he is, and T.J. Miller does it for like 10 straight minutes, and they used one of those.
Okay.
So
right.
It's one of those things like it's funny for about 3 minutes, and then it's like T.J. Miller's really smart and he comes up with a lot of funny things, but
right.
I'm watching a guy improv, and
it's right. So I mean, and to be fair, I mean Kevin Hart is in so much this year that it's kind of hard if that's how you're going to do this. If that's how you're basically going to do the comedy, it's kind of hard to pull out gems because he's only got so much time before he has to get on the next project.
Yeah, and that's why I feel like a movie with him in it is probably destined to go this direction because, you know, it's only going to be as good as he is on the day or as he is on the scene, and they're not picking scripts for him, or he's not picking scripts that are hilarious on the page.
So it's funny, but it's safe.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to say it, for sure. So, yeah, and I don't have anything against improvisation. I think it's really, like, if it's done well, if it's edited well, all that kind of stuff, it can really work. But it's been this crutch with all these modern comedies where they get people that can improvise and they basically write the movie in editing.
Right.
They just pick up what they want and put it together in editing. And
I mean, it can work, but at the same time, it can also just be like, well, maybe you guys should have tried a bit more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
For sure. Well, that's Central Intelligence. If you like the way we do these, please like the video, subscribe, check out all the written and video reviews at DaleMaxfield.com. Thanks for watching.